Okay, well, we're looking at creating a revolved wheel section here in Autodesk Inventor. So there's our wheel that we're looking at trying to make, something along those lines, and it's a sort of a wheel that you could use in the F1 in Schools competition as a car wheel with a 3mm diameter axle hole inside here. So let's start from the beginning. We'll create a new part, and we'll call it, we'll save it as wheel 2 because I've done a wheel already. And it's going to save on my desktop, but you can save it where you choose. Now it's wheel 2. Let's start with doing a sketch, and we'll start our sketch on this XY plane. And to start to get a feel for what we're going to do, I'm going to use the let's have a look. I'll use the rectangle tool, 2-point rectangle tool. Start from the center, draw out, and I'm in inches unfortunately. Now to fix that up, go into Tools and Document Settings, Units, and you can change here from inches to millimeters pretty quickly. Obviously my default's in inches. Okay, we're now in millimeters, and I've got this sketch going on here, so I'm back into 3D Model, and I want to be able to edit this and deal with my dimensions. So there's the dimension line. Left mouse button click, draw up, and you can second click, you can edit your dimensions. I want to make that let's say I'll make that 20 millimeters. Okay, fine, and hit enter, and hit the zoom tool over here to bring it back into focus again. Same thing over here, draw out with the left mouse button, and I'm going to make this 15. Hit enter. So I've got this shape here, there's the center of the universe. Now I'm going to do some other work with this shape. I'm going to use the line tool and draw in here and create another profile. And I'm deliberately doing this, as you'll see in a minute why, as a quarter of a circle profile. And we're going to revolve it, but just for the moment let's stick with this. Something a little bit more interesting to make it a bit different. I think I might try an ellipse in here. So under the rectangle, or I should say the circle button here, circles or ellipses, I'm going to choose ellipse, and what type of ellipse? We'll go for there. And with an ellipse you need to sort of organize an axis and then draw out your ellipse from that axis. And I'm going to do it like about there. Alright, that's good. I'm going to shrink this in for view purposes. And now I'm going to draw an arc, and I'm going to use a 3-point arc up the top here. So my starting point will be over here. My finishing point I want to make about there on the ellipse, and I want to give it a bit of an arc like so. So I've got those shapes going on, and I'm going to be fairly happy with those just for the present point in time. I don't want to define them completely yet, except inside here I do. So I want to create another dimension between this line, left click, this line, drop down, and then click it a second time and draw across. And I want that dimension to be 3 millimeters. Clicking enter. And then I'm going to draw a couple more lines in here because I'm going to create the axle hole. So from here all the way to, say, there, and drop it down again. Hit escape to stop the tool. Then I want to create another dimension. So I'll click dimension button here again, between here and there, draw this out, and I want that distance to be 1.5 because when it's rotated around we want to have a depth of axle to be, the diameter of the axle to be 3. Alright, so let's use this trim tool up here under the modify tab and get rid of some of the lines that we don't want. So for example, this line I don't want, so just by hovering over it, it will remove between the 2 points of intersection the lines that you're not interested in. And what I'm looking for here now is to get myself an entirely integral shape which removes have a profile which I can spin around and create a revolved section. Try and move this one over there. Yeah, that's good. So that looks like a continuous shape. Looks a bit odd, but in a minute you'll see it kind of works quite well. So I'm going to finish this sketch. So I'm happy with that, and there it is in 3D shape space. Now next thing is to use the revolve feature. Click on the revolve feature under the create tab over here on the left, and we're going to be asked a few things. One of them is to select the profile. Now there's only one profile here, so it's automatically selected. The next thing is to select an axis. So the profile selected, the axis tab needs to be checked. Down the bottom here, it's always a good little command center to look at. It gives you some instructions on what Inventor is expecting you to do next. So select the axis. Now I want to revolve this about this axis. And there we have now a wheel shape. Now I can choose to spin it around about a certain number of degrees. I can do lots of things, but for example, we can go to a next face or to an angle or to a point. But I want the full 360 degrees there. And I'm pretty okay with that, so I click OK. Now just to show you what this thing looks like now, I'll move it up here a little bit. There's my wheel. I've got this central hub, curved surface over here. It's all looking pretty good, and a 3mm axle hole. Okay, from now I want to create some slots in my wheel. So I'm going to draw another shape. So start another 2D sketch. I'll exit out of the orbital tool. Start a 2D sketch, and I want the sketch to be on this plane. So I'm going to create an imaginary plane on the top surface of this wheel. So let's go and we'll do that, and now we're going to start to draw a slot. You can find the slot under the rectangle menu. There it is there. Lots of sort of slots. And by highlighting the two diameters or the two center points of the circle of the slot, you can draw a slot. And just drag it out and to the width that you want. Click left click, and there's your slot on that plane, on that which just sits on this edge. Okay, I'm going to finish the sketch there. The slot's sitting there, still a bit undefined, but I'm going to extrude this slot. Now when I hit the extrude function, this dialog box pops up, and what profile it looks like it needs to be checked. So what Inventor wants to know, what do I want to extrude? Now it's selected this this slot because I've hovered over it and it's grayed out. I'll move it around a little bit so you can see it's extruded it the wrong way. I want it to go the other way. Just click the opposite direction, extrude plane. And how far do I want it to go? Well, I want it to go all the way. So we'll go that way. And I want it to cut material. So use the cut material function there, and it'll actually project that geometry, that cutting plane through, and create a slot. We'll click OK. So there's our slot. All good. Now that part of it is good. However, what we need to do now is to move this around and create more of them. So to use that, it's very easy to do with the patterning tool. There's the patterning tool, and we want a circular pattern, not a rectangular. And we're going to be asked for what is it that you want to pattern. Now I've got to select the appropriate geometry. I'm going to cancel out of that for a minute because I want to revolve this a little bit further, just to make it a bit easier for the selection process. So let's go back to the pattern tool. Click circular pattern, and that's now I'm going to select the geometry. You can see how it goes into that dash dot format. That's the geometry that I want to pattern. I want to do it about an axis, so I'm going to select the axis now. So that's the feature that I want to pattern. Now I'm going to select the axis, and I want the axis to be in here. Now I don't have an axis through here, but I do have a circular shape that will double as that, and that's the axle hole. So if I click that, automatically Inventor's placed a pattern and guessed that I want to do 360 degrees, and I want to have 5 of these slots, but I can change that up here. I want to go 10. That looks pretty sporty, or maybe 9. I can do whatever I want. What does 9 look like? Yep, 9 looks a bit better. So I click OK, and now we've reproduced the slots all the way around. Now of course what you can see when you turn this around is that the slots may not be in exactly the right position, but you can alter those. See how they've created a spline kind of shape through there? I could change that by editing my pattern and simply editing the original shape. So if I can get out of this orbital tool, and on the left here on the browser I can go to my extrusion here, and my extrusion sketch. I hover over it, it highlights. Right click, I can edit that sketch, and I can change the sketch. So it's easy enough for me, should be able to do it, and drag this up a little bit. There we go, like that. Make it a bit bigger, finish the sketch, and my pattern will reproduce now into the larger shape that I wanted, and without causing dramas. Let's orbit so we can double check, without causing dramas on my central hub. Okay, all done, and there you got yourself a fine looking wheel. Thank you very much.